Hi, I'm Jonathan Weinberg, and this is Drawing with Fountain Pens. So after a very long time, I finally got one of the Sailor King of Pens, which is sort of the flagship pen for the Sailor line. I did get it from Japan, which means that it is much less money than if you buy it from an American dealer, but you forego the warranty from what I understand. I have a feeling that with fountain pens that, right away you find out if there's a problem with them, and rarely does your part, I've never actually had to go use the warranty for a pen that I've had over a year or something like that. We usually, as I say, it's the problems are right in the beginning and you're allowed to return it in the beginning. And so to me, that's not a big deal, but that's something that you have to think about. And also with all this worry about tariffs and everything, I just finally said, I'm going to do it now before who knows what's going to happen in the future. Anyway, I'm one of these people that initially I wasn't very big, particularly on the least expensive Sailor pens. I found them kind of scratchy, but I've come around to thinking that actually Sailor nibs are terrific. And they have their own characteristics, and some people really swear by them. I have to say that on this particular pen, the nib is fantastic. It has now become one of my favorite pens. I think it's particularly great for drawing. It isn't flex, but it has some flex to it. It's bouncy. It has just the right amount of feedback. It's really fantastic. So I'm sort of giving away the review right from the beginning and say how enthusiastic I am about it. Anyway, the pen came in this box. It's kind of elegant, but not so fantastic. I don't really buy pens in the box, and here it is. It is a fairly large pen. Sailor is the first of the Japanese fountain pen companies, and it was founded in 1911. And they have two really major lines of pens, the Pro Gear line and the 1911 line. The Pro Gear has a flat top. The 1911 line has the round top. So this is in the 1911 line. So here's the pen. I think it's very beautiful, but it's very, in some ways it's kind of boring. It looks like a lot of other pens, particularly the sort of standard pen that we all use for comparisons, and it comes this kind of cigar-shaped pen. So here's my vintage, I guess it's sort of 1970s Mont Blanc pen for comparisons purposes. You can see that this is a big pen. The King of Pens here, it's almost 6 inches in size. Just to let people know again, with this crazy pen that everybody is reviewing, this is the Jinlai 930, and how insanely big this one is. So it's not as big as that. Another comparison would be with the huge Pilot Yorishi pen, which is a flat top, and they're about the same size, but it doesn't have as much girth as the Pilot pen. So this sort of 6-inch size is quite large. To compare it to other pens in the Sailor line, here is the L 1911. Which is a nice pen. It's sort of equivalent to the 146, Mont Blanc 146. And here in burgundy is the small 1911. You can sort of see this little family here of these different pens. I actually like the size of the King of Pens. It's a big pen, but I have really big hands. There's not a lot to say about this pen in terms of the way it looks. It's very conservative. It post very, very well. The star of the pen is definitely the nib. Now, Sailor has changed their nib in terms of the logo. This is the simplified, newer version of the nib. A lot of people like the way it looked before. The King of Pens has a 21K gold nib, which actually differentiates it from, the top of the line pens like Pilot, which use an 18K nib. I don't know. I think there are Visconti pens that have 21K nibs, but not a lot of pen manufacturers use the 21K nib. I think that it does make a difference in this large nib in that it makes it very bouncy, very soft, and I think that's why it is so appealing as a drawing nib. And I think the new nib is quite nice looking. People, as I say, like the way it looked before. I never talk about this, but it actually takes quite a lot to screw it on, like more than 3 turns. Some people hate that. Anyway, it's very handsome. It isn't super heavy, even though it's large. It posts really well. Oh, and of course, just to take it apart, it uses a converter. And obviously, I would also use cartridges. Now, I think that's kind of unusual for a flagship pen, but not for Japanese pens. A lot of Pilot pens also, even at their top of the line, use converters. They're not big on piston fillers. I like piston fillers. It's very, in a certain way, it's all built in. But when it comes time to clean the pen, they're a pain because you have to take the whole pen apart, or you have to sort of run water through them over and over again. The piston filler really is a throwback to the time, which wasn't that long ago, when people basically either used black or blue ink in their pens, and they didn't change the ink colors very often. So they didn't really, if they used the pen all the time, they didn't really need to clean it out and change the colors. Lately, in the last 20 years, it's been this explosion of focus on different colors for fountain pens, and people are changing the colors. And so if that's if you're someone who wants to constantly change the color in a pen, then I strongly recommend using a pen that uses a converter, because that just makes it so much easier. But a lot of fountain pen people almost don't like converters. They somehow feel that it's not true to the experience. And I'm a great fan, for example, of Pelikan fountain pens, and they almost all use piston filler. Pelikan actually developed the piston filler, and that's great. But as I say, if you're going to change colors, then I would go with the converter, and this pen uses a converter. When I got it, it came with a converter. I'm not sure that that's always the case, so that's something that you should look into. Sailor, they make a nice converter, and they're not crazy expensive. So if it's an extra expense, it's not a huge thing. For a pen, that can cost as much as depends on the model. There are all kinds of models. They have, for example, a beautiful ebonite version of this pen, but often you see it for well over $1,000. I think a pen certainly in that level should come with a converter, but that's something you have to just check on when you're getting the pen. So I'm going to do some writing with the pen, and I am going to draw some red peonies with it. This has been a really cold spring in New England, and it's weird that it's June and it just now our peonies are opening, which is weird for me. But anyway, they are one of my most favorite flowers, so it's been a long wait, but it's good to see them. As always, if this is useful, please subscribe. It's the way to support the channel. Give it a like. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's a way that I know that I'm doing something that is useful. So how does it write? So this is the King of Pen, Sailor. It is medium nib, but it actually writes like a Japanese, well, broad really, or if you use it lighter, then it's more like a medium. This is Pilot Takisumi, one of my favorite inks. This is Rhodia paper. And you can hear, I hope you can hear this slight scratchy sound, which I think is very typical of Sailor pens, which is this feedback, which actually is quite nice. Here it is doing reverse writing, so you can get this very thin line. And it's kind of a semi-flex, very soft, very bouncy, very, very pleasant. It's very wet. So I suppose the one bad thing for some people is it's a bit noisy. But I really like writing and drawing with it. Doesn't skip. Incredible flow. Really keeps up. So I'm very pleased. I mean, this is a nib, this 21K gold nib is sort of competing now with my Pelikan M800 for favorite nibs. And I would say this is a better nib for drawing because it has this variation in the way it responds to. So I'm not really pressing that hard, and I'm getting a somewhat thicker line. And if I go very light, I get a thin line. It's terrific. If you found this video useful, please subscribe and give it a like. It doesn't cost you any money to subscribe, and it's a great way to support the channel.